Hi, I'm Margaret, and I've got a lovely summery dish for you today. It's a deliciously fruity Blackberry Meringue Tart. So, once you've buttered your loose-bottomed tin, it's time to make the sweet crust pastry. In order to make good pastry, it helps to keep everything cool. A cool bowl, chilled butter, and I have heard it said that people with cold fingers make the best pastry. It's good to remember that you can adjust the consistency of your pastry with a little extra milk or a little more flour, depending if it's too moist or too dry. Once you've got the right consistency, we then need to cover it up, pop it into the fridge again to cool it down before we roll it out. Then after half an hour or so, we're ready to go. Plenty of flour on the board, on the rolling pin, and best to add a little more as you go along, just to stop it from sticking to anything. Now, to keep the pastry nice and crisp, we bake it once without the filling. This is what's called baking it blind. Bakers will often put parchment paper and baking beans or rice on top of the pastry. This is to stop the pastry from rising too much or from slipping down the sides of the tin. But what I tend to do is use a bit of leftover pastry to push into the sides of the tin to stop it coming down the edges, and then I get a fork and I prick the bottom of it to stop it rising too much, and this always seems to do the trick. I'm using frozen blackberries for this. Once I put them in the pan and put a little bit of sugar on and heat them up, there should be a little bit of moisture comes out of them. But if you're using fresh blackberries, it might be a good idea to put a couple of tablespoons of water or apple juice, even lemon juice would be nice in there. The arrowroot will help to thicken the sauce. If you haven't got arrowroot, you could always use a little bit of flour in water instead, but you might not get the same lovely dark blackberry colour. Leave this to cool completely. One of the tricks for making really well whisked egg whites is to have the bowl really squeaky clean. There can't be any egg yolk in there either. Oops, or shell. These now need whisking until you get nice soft peaks. When they form a peak, but then it just falls over. Just like that. The sugar needs to be added gradually, whisking in between. corn flour's added to stabilise the egg whites. Give it a really good mix, and then we're just about done. Another way to keep the pastry nice and crisp is to add a layer of egg yolk. I always do this, especially if I've got any sort of liquid centre to a tart. And once this is dry, we can start to build up the tart. Remember to seal the edges between the meringue and the pastry. Give it a nice interesting top, a few little peaks, and it's ready for the oven. Well, thanks for joining me for Make and Bake this week. If you'd like to see more recipes, try my website below. The link's in the description. Have a good week. Catch you next time.